Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Chris Beer, founder and integrator of Wizard of Ops. Chris, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Chris, tell us a little bit about your background, and then we'll talk a little bit more about your company.
So I am founder of a company called Wizard of Ops, and what we do is bring better living through systems. And ultimately, at the end of the day, our services are operational based. So we come into companies and look at how workflows can happen smoother. And a lot of times that just helps by smoothing out processes and the way that people interact with them.
Well, tell us, like, how did you get there? How long ago did you start Wizard of Ops? What did you do before?
So this is an exciting second half of my working life. I was an options trader for about 20 years before that. So very similar in terms of, a lot of things coming at you at once, and you had to learn to separate the urgent from the important. And every once in a while, tuck away something that you would need later. So I, again, had a very full career doing that and was looking to the next and was really just fascinated with small businesses and specifically just that kind of that air traffic control piece. How do we bring systems and how do we bring processes in a way that, one, doesn't seem boring and also doesn't seem like it's going to threaten the individual touch of the business.
So when a company hires a Wizard of Ops, what are they hoping to accomplish?
Our signature service is providing integrator placements. So specifically for companies that operate on the Entrepreneurial Operating System or EOS, there are two people in the company called the visionary and the integrator. And so a lot of people are going to know that as the CEO and the COO. And of course, everyone in the company needs to play well together, but it's really, really important that the visionary and the integrator are well integrated. And so what does that mean? It means that you can have two incredibly talented, driven, hardworking people, but if they are not committed to having a great working relationship that plays off of each other's strengths and weaknesses, nothing's going to happen. So, one service that we fill is filling that integrator role. And then the second service is a new service offering called the Integrator's Integrator, which is a high-touch personalized coaching program, which helps that connection between kind of the first and second in command really gel.
So it's interesting that you're never in that visionary role in the company. So I would imagine most companies, we're fortunate where my partner and I, it was just natural. I'm the visionary. He's the integrator. But I guess most companies, the founders is usually that visionary, and they just don't have that integrator.
Exactly. I have a little touch of both in me. But definitely when it comes down to it, my passion and passion of my team is making visions a reality.
When you're coming into when you're starting to work with a new client, and whether they're EOS or not, because I know we have a whole bunch of clients that are on EOS, but of course plenty that are not. What are some of the more common areas of opportunity to improve the business and to make an impact pretty quickly? What comes up the most in the beginning?
So it's funny you say that. I've seen so many movies, and another way to say it, and I say this all the time to my clients with a lot of love, I'll say, you're not that special. And I mean it that, they feel that, they are really stuck with these problems that are so unique, and therefore, because they're so unique, they can't be solved. Well, the unique problem that's quite often plaguing them is that the people who have brought them here are not going to bring them there, and they're stuck. So couple things are wrong there. The structure perhaps is wrong. So, the organization chart, the, accountability chart, or whatever language you're speaking in,
Right.
the structure of the company perhaps doesn't serve where they are right now. And quite often there are some difficult people moves that need to be made. And it's really hard to kind of de-seat someone from the leadership team when they have been with you since day zero. But as we all know, any team that has a dozen people is not going to be a quick, lean, productive one. So I'd say that's kind of the most common challenge that I come across. And also just a quick win that we make is like, it's almost like, releasing a pressure valve, just making one or two people moves that quite frankly are often a relief on both sides.
That is a very difficult thing for a founder to deal with, like somebody who helped get them there and
Yes.
worked so hard. I mean, how do you help them get to that point where they understand and they're willing to make a change?
Through really living one of the Wizard of Ops core values, which is don't cannonball into the pool. So nothing is done instantly, meaning that embrace the engagement with a lot of curiosity. So come in, ask questions of, the parties that are involved, not just the visionary, to get a understanding of what the situation is, what we're trying to accomplish, and then quickly use that to come up with we're going to do this or that. We can't just sit here with analysis paralysis. We need to make a decision.
Right. I think it's something that a lot of people take for granted, that they just assume that they do well. But I know I've seen both in-person, in-office companies as well as in remote companies, communication and the way you communicate is often holding a lot of companies back.
Yeah.
Do you see that as well? And what does that typically look like? And how does that get solved if it is an issue?
Exactly. I think it's one thing to separate saying something, whether it's verbally saying something or, penning a quick Slack message, and actually having that message received and heard and understood. And so one, just the education, the awareness that when you're speaking, it is not just barking out orders. It's to making sure that people are understanding the intent of what you're asking for, and that also that they're receiving it. And lastly, that they have capacity to take on whatever you're talking about.
And then let's switch topics one more time here. So, you're helping companies with operations, really helping them fulfill their goals and their dreams.
Mm-hmm.
What about on the personal side? We're all, particularly if you have a family, you have kids, we're all running around with our businesses. We obviously have personal responsibilities. Again, I'm thinking more on the family side, but even on the person, even if you don't have a family, there's just a lot going on. Are there any tips or tricks or strategies that you're able to take from the EOS world, the business world, and help out on the personal side?
I think a big thing that has helped me on both the business and the personal side, as the wife of a husband who travels a bit for business and the mother of two kids who are 11 and 13. So, talk about air traffic control of a family,
Right.
is mindfulness. And that is mindfulness of how certain things are affecting my battery, and not with blame, because that's what mindfulness is all about. It's just noting things that are perhaps draining my battery a little bit too much, and noting if those things belong there anymore. And that is related to both, business engagement, the tasks that I do on a day-to-day basis, and then also how I spend my time, my personal time.
Could a solution to that be, hey, this one thing, whatever it might be, is draining my batteries in my personal life. It's draining my batteries a little bit. Could that be, some work that needs, some things that need to be done at the home, or grocery shopping? Is the solution to that sometimes, what? There are companies that will do the shopping for you, right? Do people need to be thinking about their unique abilities? Do you need to be thinking about that in the personal life and start to find other people, maybe not within your family, that can do some of those things that are not within your unique ability?
Absolutely. And as I don't know if you saw my eyes light up with grocery shopping, but I feel like I'm Instacart client number one. And that was one of the early things that I identified was not in my unique ability. And quite frankly, I started to really, be upset about that time, spending that time when I would rather be doing something else. So I think it's the awareness of how you're spending your time, and also noting that it is that you are unique. And so not having judgment about outsourcing certain things or choosing to not do certain things. If they're not a fit for you and your business priorities and your family priorities, it's okay to cut the cord or give it to someone else to do. And there's a good chance that someone else is perhaps better at picking out bananas than you are.
Right.
Yeah.
Going back to the business side, you mentioned that you're working primarily with EOS companies. Why don't you just give us a quick overview, if you don't mind, on what the power of EOS is? We run on a EOS. I get it. But it's been so powerful for us. We just had our L10 earlier today, and just magical, really amazing how the company's progressing. Can you tell us a little bit about what companies, like a before and after, what companies can expect from adopting an EOS framework?
Sure, and I can speak to it from Wizard of Ops running on EOS. It's really helped bring simplicity and structure. And so the thing that you mentioned in terms of the quarter, the meeting pulse, in terms of having a level 10 meeting or having a quarterly planning session, it's for someone who is, say, a visionary who is constantly bursting with ideas and energy and forward motion. It helps put some guardrails around that. And for the people who are more on the execution side, it helps bring some accountability to what the team is doing. So, between having that meeting structure, which of course, to what you brought up before, helps communication funnel throughout the organization, and then also having visibility into the metrics that align with each person's role and their and the processes they follow. It's simple, but not at the same time, which is why I really enjoy it.
I got to tell you, the impact again is huge. We were just commenting because we have our quarterly coming up tomorrow, and we were just commenting on how this quarter we are getting so much momentum because the L10 and just the EOS framework for us is really starting to kick in, and it's so powerful, so powerful.
That's great. I love when the magic of a good meeting comes into play, when people start realizing that, oh, this really is the best 90 minutes of my week.
Yeah.
I have this opportunity to really, get down and dirty with my team and get to the true root of issues.
Chris, this has been awesome. Can you tell us a little bit where people can find out more about you and Wizard of Ops?
Absolutely. So my website is wizardofops.net. And also I'm very active on LinkedIn. It's my only social network. So you can find me there, Chris Beer, or follow Wizard of Ops on LinkedIn.
Fantastic. Chris, thanks again. And thanks so much for sharing your insights with the Work Better Now community.
Thanks, Rob.